Good morning, pals, and welcome back to 100 Miles, 100 Days on a $100 treadmill. I'm Tanya, and we're going to take a 20-minute walk and talk about Disney and Rise of the Resistance opening back up today. I'm so excited. And we'll look at those patches that I'm making. I'm working on Pluto today, so let's take a walk. All right, pals, you ready to get this started? Here's the countdown. Come on, everybody, here we go. And let's ramp it up. Well, welcome back to day 71. We're in the 20s now for counting down to Disneyland. 29 days. As you probably know about me already, I very much enjoy singing my sentences when I'm happy. So there you go. I have a lot to be happy about today. So I got up early this morning and have been tracking the wait times and watching live streams and all kinds of stuff because yay, Rise of the Resistance actually did open up this morning. So I started actually taking screenshots and videos last night, early this morning. Last night, the Rise of the Resistance actually showed up on the tip board just before 1 o'clock in the morning, I think. The park was open until 1 for the Sweethearts Night last night, and I was expecting that the tip board would roll over and show it at midnight, but I think that they waited until 1 o'clock in the morning when the park was basically closed before they rolled that onto the tip board. So I do these things, I do these crazy things so that you don't have to. You can just hear about them the next day. And then this morning I was up and watched how at rope drop at 8 o'clock this morning when the park opened and all of the rides opened, what that looked like. So like Lightning Lane for Rise of the Resistance was available. They have a single pass Lightning Lane that is $29 per person today. And the ride opened at 8. The first Lightning Lanes that were available were at 9 o'clock. So I don't know if they postpone that on a daily. It's not something I really pay attention to, so I'm not sure if that's normal. So for that first hour, it looked like the only way you could get on the ride was actually through standby. I watched the times. I found a live streamer that was in the park that went from rope drop straight out to Galaxy's Edge, Rise of the Resistance, got in line. Took him about 45 minutes from the time that the park opened till he was on the ride, or till he was through the queue, on the ride, and off the ride. So at about 8:45 in the morning, he was done with the whole thing. And it looked exactly the same, maybe some fresh paint and stuff. Cannons are working, and I'll have to watch it a little bit closer. Again, I was just watching it on my phone while I was in bed. And then I was taking, I'll show you, I was taking some video of my screen as far as what the wait times looked like this morning, right up until about 10:30, 11 o'clock is when the times really started getting sort of crazy. It was about 45 minutes most of the morning, which is kind of normal for Rise. So I think what probably happened is that, most people aren't, most casual goers are not going to be the crazy person I am, checking the tip board every single day and looking for when is it going to open, when is it going to open. And so I think what probably happened is that all the people in the know were rushing to it, and then word started getting out. So by 10:30, it had an 80-minute wait time. So let's go ahead and start a recording, and we'll look at what the wait time is now. I'm going to open our Disneyland app. And we're going to push that plus button at the bottom. And we're going to hit Book Lightning Lane. Switch over to tip board. And I'm going to take just a little bit of time to kind of slowly go through just to show you what the day looks like at the park. So if we were looking at this, just getting kind of an overall view at almost noon, what the park looks like today. We've got a 50-minute wait at Haunted Mansion, 50-minute wait at Indiana Jones. So it's, it's light in some places, heavy in others. 45-minute wait at Mickey and Minnie's. There's a 20-minute wait at Smuggler's Run, which starts to give us an idea of what's happening. And we come all the way down to Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. And right now it's at 60 minutes, which is kind of a basic, that's a pretty basic day for Rise of the Resistance. So it may just be that that 80 minutes that I saw was a major influx of people figuring out that it was open. They still, looks like quite a few people have purchased Lightning Lane because that has a return time of $12.50, so about an hour, and that's paying $30 per person to ride the ride. So if it was me, I would be getting in that standby line. I wouldn't be paying that extra $30. I've been in that line for 2.5 hours when it first opened, and being in the queue is part of the experience. But I understand the wanting to pay to just be able to get on and get through, and if one day is all you have and you really want to ride Rise of the Resistance, go ahead and do that. But with a 60-minute standby, that's a pretty doable line. It's 60 minutes is a loose number. The time that they give you for standby line in Rise of the Resistance, it might take you 60 minutes to actually get on the actual ride, but to start the experience, it happens a lot sooner than that. So you get into the room where Rey is welcoming you to the Resistance. You go through the pre-show kind of stuff, and there's like little vignettes of things that happen before you get to the actual ride vehicle. Anyway, I digress. It's open, and I'm happy. I just did not expect that it would be back open this soon. And actually, let's go back to the tip board and go over and see what's happening at DCA today, if that is affecting what's going on with DCA. Guardians, we're at the same thing that's been happening. 60-minute standby with Lightning Lane already sold out. And Credit Coaster 60 minutes with a $3.50 return time. Radiator Springs at 90 minutes. So Soarin' Over California is at 100 minutes. My goodness. People are going to be in the park this weekend. There's a lot going on to bring people. It's the President's Day weekend, so you know, a lot of schools have that day off, so it's going to bring people in for a long weekend. So Chris and I went last year during around this same time, and we hit we hit one of the busiest days I have ever been in the park in my life. It was crazy. And you think it's like a Saturday on February. What the heck is going on? But it was a beautiful day and people showed up. So I would expect that on any of these kind of weekends where you've got any weekend where you have an extra day on either side of it is going to get you a crowded park. And then add to it that you've got Rise of the Resistance opening after it's been closed for about 5 weeks. And you've got a recipe for a profitable weekend for Disney. I'm sure is what they're hoping. If you're headed to Disneyland anytime soon, you get the excitement of being there when Rise of the Resistance is open. I'm also going to get that excitement of the fact that Oga's Cantina is going to open a day before I get there, which, as we've talked about before, I'm not necessarily, you know, I don't think we're going to try to like go out of our way to go into Oga's just to try to like fight the crowds, just to see what is up with the new stuff. But if the opportunity presents itself, we will do it. That's just how Chris and I tend to do Disneyland. Is there's a lot of things that we plan out, but there's a lot of just vibing with what goes on around us. If it looks like we're going to have to stand in line for an hour just to see a few little changes, it's probably not going to happen. But who knows? You know, it could be just that the day before I see some stuff saying that it's amazing, you have to go. It doesn't matter if you have to wait for 2.5 hours to get into this place. You need to go. I'll probably do it, but who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? It's Star Wars stuff, and that's always going to get me every time. So anyway, let's, I've been working on the new patch, the Pluto Patch. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, pals, we are ready to start working on Pluto. So I've picked out my embroidery thread colors to go with him. I've picked out a background that contrasts nicely with the main body of his color. And let's get started. right, so finished all the stitching. And now I'm going to do the embroidery work, which is going to take a lot. He's going to take a lot more embroidery work than Peter Pan did, just because he's got so many lines outlining his legs and his feet and his paws and things. I had already added in this piece of embroidery on his nose because I needed that line to guide me as to where his open mouth and tongue were going to go. I couldn't get that quite in the right place without it. So that's what we'll do next, and I'll show you a lot more of the actual process of the embroidery on that one. All right, so now I'm going to go in and embroider like his leg lines and stuff in here. I'm going to start with just one strand of brown on my thread. And if I need to go in and thicken lines up, I will do that later to add that sort of line weight that that comes with hand drawing. And what line weight means is that when you're drawing, a line will hold weight where you first put the pen or pencil down and press down, and then you lift as you're drawing. So like you can see how there's line weight in his tail, where this is just one stroke of a pencil where you've pressed down hard at the beginning of his tail and you've lifted the pen or pencil up as you've gotten to the end and made that flourish at the end. So that's what line weight is, and why cartoons and drawings tend to look to have a bit of a fluid motion because of line weight. So I think what I'm going to do is first start in his face. So again, it's not perfect, but it gives us the idea of what we're going for. And that's really all that we're looking for is the idea. So that when someone sees that from far away, they know it's Pluto. All right, so I'm going to keep working on him, and I will come back and show you a little bit more in a minute. There it is. 1 mile. Congratulations, pals. Woohoo! All right, good job today, pals. Thanks for coming along on another 100 miles, 100 days on a $100 treadmill. I'm Tanya. That's my Moai. There's also, if you haven't noticed, there's a skull under there. he's concrete. There's my ears for the day. And hope to see you back here again tomorrow. We're going to do it again. Bye, pals. That went from rope drop, bug. It's this bug. we're gonna have to stand in line for an hour just to, God damn bug. Once more with feeling.